When individuals are ready to begin the process of quitting, they usually experience a lot of fear and anxiety about the future. Or how will they cope with situations that put them at risk for relapse? This video will help you to understand what may be holding you back and how to overcome these uncertainties of the future without your drug. The idea of quitting often sparks panic and fear. Fear of being without your drug in social situations, or fear that you will no longer have it when you get stressed and you won't be able to cope or deal with everyday pressures. Or fear that you will change too much or lose yourself, at least the person you knew yourself to be, in the process. Fear is a real thing to those who attempt to quit. Those who want to quit are held back because they greatly fear the unknown. They have lived a life for so long entrenched in their addiction that they fear what life will be without it. Will I have as much confidence without it? Will I have as much comfort or relaxation? It has become like an old friend that you have a hard time parting with. It has become a part of you. But the secret is that your drug is often causing you to fear. And you can only flourish when you are able to remove barriers in your way. When you no longer need a crutch in life, that is when your personality really shines and you can find success in many areas of life that you probably never expected. As you read the Truth of Addiction ebook, you will discover that your addiction affects the limbic system, which is the survival and primitive part of the brain. The limbic system, as it has been called, has helped our ancestors survive through rewarding them to engage in behaviors such as eating and sex. Because addiction originates in the survival part of your brain, it becomes a part of your life, just like eating and drinking. Only your drug does not help you to survive and could very much be killing you. But the brain doesn't realize this. Fear is actually evolutionarily beneficial. It helped our ancestors and all life on Earth to survive, to respond appropriately when there is a threat. It helped them to fight or flee in situations of danger and gain safety. But when we talk about the fear that springs up from quitting a drug of choice, it is largely invalid. There is no situation or immediate threat to your survival. But because the addiction has become daily, just as eating or drinking, the brain thinks that if you quit, it could result in danger just as if you suddenly stopped eating. However, quitting an addiction is not a threat to your survival, and in actuality is holding us back from reaching our full potential. But that is to say that if you have a heavy history of alcohol abuse or abusing muscle relaxers or benzodiazepines or other drugs for an extended period of time, and your body has become dependent to function on these substances, so you need to get medical attention and to speak with your doctor before you attempt to quit cold turkey. So make sure you get the medical help if you need it. Then once you are stabilized, this training will really help you obtain long-term success. There have been several studies on brains where fear conditioning related to the amygdala, this part of the brain, which is a part of the limbic system, literally becomes hyperactive when you go without your drug. One thing to add in here is that meditation and mindfulness practices in research articles has shown to calm the amygdala. Another reason why meditation is very beneficial in recovery. This reference is found in the Truth of Addiction ebook. Over time without your drug, however, your brain starts to go back to baseline. But by the way, over time without your drug, however, your brain starts to go back to baseline. Fear and anxiety is very real to those who attempt to quit. They sometimes get so close to quitting, but fear and anxieties enter their mind and snatches any hope or attempt to quit. They get all sorts of thoughts about what will happen to them, what will happen to their social life, home life, or their relationships. They wonder how they will act and behave in social situations, parties, or with friends. The idea of cutting ties seems almost unbearable. You first need to become aware of these thoughts, fears, and emotions that enter your mind when you first attempt to quit. You must realize what is really going on, and you can replace those fears with healthy activities and alternatives. If you are fearful about what will happen to you when you quit, think of all the things that you can do to make you feel more comfortable about quitting. For example, if you think you won't have as much confidence without your drug, do things that help you to build confidence naturally, such as exercising or eating healthy. Just having a plan is a great help. It helps you to visualize the next steps. There's a worksheet that you can print off titled Replacing Fears to help you with this process. It will help you to plan out how to go about replacing your fears of quitting with something else. Be specific. And of course, always talk to your doctor if you would like to start a new exercise regimen and you are not used to exercising. Exercising is always great because it helps you to feel more calm and less anxious naturally. Eating healthy is also important. But when you experience fear, bring these fears to your mind and examine them and write them down. This exercise is great because it gives you greater awareness about what you may be fearing and specific action steps to replace them. For example, if you have the fear that you won't have as much confidence without your drug, a goal could be to start an exercise routine and take care of yourself and build confidence naturally. Then the action steps, which are specific steps to take to achieve your goal, could be run 2 miles, for example, or limit junk food to once a week. Living healthier and especially exercising gets your brain active, supports neurogenesis, which is the birth of new neurons in your brain, and pushes blood to the brain, which helps improve it. Or perhaps you have a fear of not being able to sleep without your drug. Try healthy alternatives instead, such as exercise again, or meditation or yoga. And if your body is dependent on particular substances for sleep, talk to your doctor. There are less addictive alternatives that can help you slowly taper off. Or, for example, if you cannot go without your drug because of the comfort it brings during a stressful time, such as smoking, or if you have a porn addiction, whatever it may be, there are other ways to get comfort. Again, meditation practices and yoga have been found to change the brain in a way that over time actually calms the amygdala, the part of the brain I showed you before, and sends a relaxation response throughout the body. Over time, this becomes an enduring change. Also, listening to brainwave entrainment audio is extremely beneficial. Some research shows that it immediately reduces stress, panic, anxiety, depression, just from one single session. It is incredibly helpful. You can learn more about this by clicking the link to the right of this video. We need to address the fear of quitting and get it out of the way, because it can destroy the faith and hope you have in yourself and in a successful recovery. But just for a moment, examine the evidence as well. Is your life really going to end once you quit your addiction? Realize that the fear experienced is often exaggerated and does not actually match a realistic threat, as if your whole world would crumble before you, even though it feels like it might. Fear is a real emotion, but the reasons we fear, especially for those who are addicted, are not valid. You will not die unless your body is completely dependent on alcohol or benzodiazepines, in which you need to seek medical attention first, and as you always should with quitting a drug. But once you have obtained a necessary medical evaluation, if that is your situation, and become stabilized, you need to stop fearing your life without your drug, because not only does this prevent you from attempting to really quit, but when you do, when you stop the addiction, that is when you can really start to flourish. People who are addicted are all the same. They act the same way. They are a slave to their drug. Once the drug leaves their life, their personality really starts to show. One study showed that cell regeneration happened only after 2 weeks of sobriety in heavy alcoholics. And when those who decided to quit and successfully quit, they start to build a new life. They find different pleasures in different areas of their life they never expected. They find an excitement for baking, something they never did. They take up gardening or fall in love with the outdoors, or in some cases, they become very spiritual. You start to flourish in life when you are no longer inhibited by your addiction, which makes decisions for you. You'll alter your course in life, and that is when your true personality starts to shine. And as a result, real confidence springs up, and as a result of not having to have something to give you confidence. When we are anxious, our brain thinks about all the worst-case scenarios, things that most likely will never happen to us. But the most important thing you should know about anxiety is that it is caused by avoidance. You see, you may have been going several months or years addicted to something that does something for you. At least you perceive it to. It could be your cigarettes, your beer, drugs, or junk food. One way or another, you perceive it as doing something for you, so you continue to engage in it. It relieves stress, you say, or it makes me feel calm, you might say. How wrong that is, and how wrong I was. When it was my time to quit, I thought I would lose almost everything about me. I thought I would no longer have a social crutch or the confidence I once had in myself, and it would ruin who I was. The fact of the matter is, quitting just did the opposite. People who are addicted do not realize the addiction aggravates the very things they wish to eliminate. And anxiety is caused by avoidance. Think of all the years you have avoided stressful situations through taking mind-altering drugs that change your perception of it, of the situation. Think of all the times that you have been in a social situation and you need a smoke or a drink or whatever the drug might be as a crutch. By changing the perception of your stressor or situation, you are avoiding it. And by avoiding it is what causes anxiety about it. Once you learn to settle down about your addiction, you'll find new interests and talents that make you truly happy. You will start taking up a hobby of going to the gym, gardening, or hiking. You may meet a life partner and have a family. These things come to those willing to wait for them and who let pleasures run their course instead of always trying to cling on to them. Let pleasures pass, let the high fade, and let the addiction fall away so you can really develop as a person with huge potential.